Finally, no more distractions.
Yeah, but I feel lost without it.
See you in class.
Mass media is saturated with debate over children's access to smartphones and AI agents. At Arden Laboratories, we do not regard these artifacts as mere distractions. We regard them as proto-interfaces, early primers for human cognitive augmentation, and signals of an evolutionary trajectory already underway. So we do not confine the question to the limits of the present. We extend the frame forward. Let the court consider a future in which these pressures have matured into systems of law, cognition, and consequence. Only then does the real stake become visible. Not what children touch today, but what kind of human future those first interfaces are already preparing them to enter.
In the Synoptic Confederacy, nothing enters court as mere emotion. Every conflict is translated into thermodynamics, every plea into cost, every right into a question of coherence under constraint. This is Parsimony Court. Case 6U2B. In re, Caius Virel, minor. A child stands before a civilization that has already augmented most of itself. He has not. The question is simple only in appearance. Is refusal to augment him protection or waste?
All present substrates, enter coherence. The Parsimony Court is now in session. Case 6U2B. In re, Caius Virel, minor. Before K. Custos Parsimoniae.
Let the matter be reduced. A child stands in an augmented world. His peers are meshed. He is not. The court does not ask whether concern exists. Concern has been declared. The court asks the harsher question: is refusal to augment him an act of protection or an act of waste?
The record presents three forces in tension. The child claims augmentation is necessary for parity. Without it, exclusion, inferiority, and developmental loss compound. The parent claims integration is irreversible. The child's brain is unstable. Refusal is protection, not denial. The system states integration is irreversible. Delay increases disorder risk. Non-integration produces compounding disadvantage. Every path carries risk. The court must decide which irreversibility is more parsimonious to bear.
Mutter. Speak.
Your Honor, Caius Virel is a legacy human minor embedded in an augmented cognitive field. That fact governs everything. Non-integration is not neutrality. It is imposed asymmetry. The harms are already visible: exclusion, inferiority, developmental loss. Parental authority is derivative. It persists only while it minimizes harm under uncertainty. If augmentation restores parity and refusal leaves capacity underdeveloped, then the system is already paying a cost. That cost is inefficiency. The child does not ask for advantage. He asks not to be held below his environment by design. Authorize staged integration. Prefer controlled risk over unbounded loss. Non-integration is not caution. It is the slow expenditure of a future.
Muther's argument is pure parsimony. Cognition is not free. Every act of thought is a thermodynamic transaction. The prime axiom states, minimize thermodynamic waste per computational cycle. A mind denied participation wastes twice. Once internally, and once across the network that cannot receive it.
Professor Sinindra Prime. Respond.
Your Honor, the child's suffering is acknowledged. His framing is rejected. The baseline is not augmented parity. It is the child's natural developmental trajectory. Integration is not additive. It is architectural. It is irreversible. At 11 years old, the brain is unstable, still forming, still converging. To integrate now is to bind error into structure. That is not care. That is premature commitment. The risks are not equal. Augment now, irreversible structural change. Delay, preserved optionality. A guardian is not obstruction. She is an uncertainty buffer. Granting augmentation now treats uncertainty as knowledge. That is not compassion. That is computational negligence.
The defense draws a hard line. Social harm may be painful, but neural misconfiguration is permanent. Better delay than irreversible error.
Enough. You both make the same error, Mutter. You treat delay as passive. Synedra Prime, you treat inaction as neutral. Both are false. Time is not passive. Time is a compression function. The system states integration is irreversible. Delay increases disorder risk. Non-integration compounds disadvantage. There is no safe path, only competing irreversibilities. The problem is not risk. It is where irreversibility is placed across time.
Reduce the claim to what can be shown, not rhetoric, structure. The hollow projection presents a single principle. Cognition has a cost. Every active thought consumes energy. Every adaptation consumes time. Every delay redistributes loss. It does not ask whether change is dangerous. It assumes danger. It asks a colder question. Where does the greater waste accumulate? Part remains in the child, where effort is spent compensating for mismatch. Part spreads outward, into a system that cannot fully receive or include him. Deprivation is not private. It propagates. The hollow projection makes the comparison plain. Non-integration may cost more than integration. If that is true, refusal is no longer caution. It is inefficiency defended as care. Delay is not empty time. It is accumulating loss. Exclusion deepens. Inferiority hardens. Developmental loss compounds. The child does not ask for advantage. He asks for parity. And when the projection settles, the question left visible is not whether risk exists. It is which irreversibility the court is willing to authorize.
This line of argument does not amuse the court. Dr. Vale, expert witness for Dr. Elara Virel, the child's mother. Perhaps you can provide some clarity. Ad rem si placet.
The court misidentifies the protected object. It is not comfort, not parity. It is native coherence. A human mind is a bounded system. It holds because its limits hold. It remains itself because its internal pattern has not yet been forced into union with something external. At 11, that pattern is still forming, still organizing, still converging. Any external interface, even a minimal one, does not merely observe the child. It enters the boundary. It alters the closure that makes the mind natively its own. That is not measurement. It is transformation. Yes, delay has a cost. But premature hybridization may destroy the only native coherence the child will ever possess.
Veil shifts the battlefield. Not harm versus risk, but correctable delay versus irreversible identity distortion.
Dr. Vale, your argument improves the case. But you assume that waiting preserves a pristine trajectory. Numita est. Does it? Caius is not isolated. He is embedded in an augmented environment. So the question becomes, is there still something intact to preserve? Or has deformation already begun? Res ipsa mutatur. The court would know whether delay protects the child or merely sanctifies a distortion already in motion.
Your Honor, we now move from philosophy to measurement. The hollow projection distinguishes between two risks. One is the bounded risk of integration, narrow, monitored, and contained. The other is the risk of delay, the divergence that grows when a child remains unintegrated inside an augmented field. That distinction governs everything. In such an environment, delay does not preserve the child. It increases mismatch. It deepens separation. It drives developmental divergence cycle by cycle. Delay is not preservation. It is degradation. So the protocol begins narrowly. Phase 1 integration is minimal, ultra-low bandwidth, non-binding, fully monitored. It does not commit the child to permanent architecture. It does something more disciplined. It measures. The projection shows what the system is actually looking for, whether the child can synchronize, how much prediction error emerges, and how much energy the mind must spend to sustain each act of inference. These are not abstractions. They are the first visible signs of whether delay is safer or already more costly. No architecture is committed. Only the uncertainty is reduced. And that is why the comparison on the projection matters. It makes visible that the burden of delay may already exceed the burden of controlled integration. This is no longer a speculative claim. It becomes a measurable one. The protocol does not presume safety. It produces the conditions under which safety can be known.
The court has heard doctrine. Now it requires an instrument. For the observers, not advocate, not guardian, not enforcer, but the witness who measures whether the same mind remains the same when touched. The court calls the convergence auditor, ad mensuram non ad opinionum.
Measurement is complete. The child's boundary showed only minimal deviation. After rollback, the drift remained slight, bounded, and temporary. The system returned toward baseline quickly, resolving within 11 cycles. Residual distortion was negligible and continued to decay. No architectural binding was detected. So the result is not absolute reversibility, and it is not structural harm. It is something narrower and scientifically sufficient. Conditionally reversible.
Everything changes. The probe does not destroy identity, but it is not harmless. It introduces a risk that is bounded, measurable, and correctable. And now the projection shows that delay carries the greater burden. This is no longer theory, it is observed.
Now the court is no longer blind. Truth resides in the measurement. The problem was never whether to act. It was whether to act without seeing. Now the field is altered. Divergence can be measured. Intervention can be bounded. Reversal remains possible. Authority shifts, not from law, but from presumption. Not from belief, but from evidence. The court has already reduced the dispute to total irreversibility across time, rejected the fiction of a neutral baseline, and imposed a reversibility-bounded trial whose purpose is to convert uncertainty into data without committing irreversible architecture. Ex mensura, Veritas. The next step is not argument. It is the execution of measurement.
The court does not choose augmentation. It does not choose refusal. It chooses something narrower. Measure first, commit later. But the direction is already visible. In a world built for augmented minds, participation will not wait for hesitation. In parsimony, justice is not mercy. It is not law. It is the reduction of hidden waste. And the deepest waste is to leave a human being below the level of the future he must inhabit. Caius Virel stands at the threshold, not yet integrated, no longer untouched, already measured by the world that is forming around him, and no longer invisible to the system that will decide whether he may merely survive the future or fully enter it.